Believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left.
In the annals of history, there exists a chilling fascination with the minds of those who walk the darkest paths of humanity.
We are all evil in some form or another, are we not?
They are the enigmas, the monsters lurking in the shadows, whose actions have both horrified and captivated the world.
I did the most horrendous crime in the whole wide world.
Their crimes are etched into the fabric of our collective consciousness, leaving behind a trail of terror and unanswered questions. Perhaps the most haunting aspect of their legacy lies in the words they uttered in their final moments.
That's what I deserve. I deserve death.
So join us as we journey into the minds of darkness and unravel the disturbing last words spoken by 25 infamous serial killers. Number 25. Gary Ridgeway. Gary Ridgeway earned the sinister moniker of the Green River Killer as he instilled terror throughout the serene landscapes of the Pacific Northwest, ruthlessly taking the lives of at least 49 women during the tumultuous decades of the 1980s and 1990s. Following a meticulous investigation spanning years, Ridgeway was ultimately apprehended and sentenced to spend the remainder of his days behind bars, devoid of any possibility for parole, in exchange for admitting his guilt and avoiding the death penalty. In a haunting moment of candor during his execution, Ridgeway starkly confessed, "I ended the lives of numerous women, and it's challenging for me to remember each one." This chilling revelation reveals the shockingly detached mindset that fueled his killing spree. Each victim represented a tragic chapter in Ridgeway's twisted narrative, underscoring the depth of his callousness and the profound loss experienced by their families and communities. Number 24. Aileen Wuornos. Aileen Wuornos, a sex worker plying her trade along Florida's highways, asserted that her actions were acts of self-defense. However, her lethal shooting spree targeting several men in 1989 and 1990 led to her conviction for 6 murders, ultimately placing her on Florida's death row. Wuornos, facing the penalty of lethal injection, met her end on October 9, 2002, leaving behind a puzzling legacy. In her final moments, Wuornos invoked popular films, Independence Day and The Terminator, introducing a strange cinematic element to her last words. She expressed, "I'd just like to say I'm sailing with the Rock and I'll be back, like Independence Day with Jesus, June 6th. Like the movie, big mothership and all, I'll be back." This cryptic farewell not only reflects Wuornos's idiosyncratic perspective, but also adds an enigmatic layer to her persona. The fusion of cinematic references with religious imagery paints a peculiar picture of her mindset as she faces the ultimate consequence of her violent actions. Wuornos's narrative, marked by a blend of real-world horrors and cinematic surrealism, remains a compelling and unsettling chapter in the chronicles of criminal history. Number 23. Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer, known as the Milwaukee Cannibal, was an American serial killer and sex offender. Active from 1978 to 1991, he murdered and dismembered 17 young men. Dahmer's crimes included necrophilia and cannibalism. Arrested in 1991, he was convicted and sentenced to 16 life terms. Jeffrey Dahmer met a gruesome end while serving consecutive life sentences at the Columbia Correctional Institution in Wisconsin. His assailant, fellow inmate Christopher Scarver, attacked him with a metal bar while both were engaged in cleaning duties in the facility's gymnasium. The motive behind Scarver's violent act was rooted in his own disturbed beliefs, leading to a tragic and brutal encounter. As Scarver provided his statement to investigators, he disclosed the heartfelt last words uttered by Dahmer amid the relentless assault. "I don't care if I live or die. Go ahead and kill me." These words, reflecting Dahmer's apparent resignation to his fate, added a haunting layer to the already macabre scene. Dahmer's demise at the hands of a fellow inmate not only marked the end of a notorious criminal's life, but also raised questions about the dangers and complexities within the prison system. The brutal circumstances surrounding Dahmer's final moments shed light on the harsh reality within correctional facilities, where violence and danger can lurk even among those serving time for their heinous crimes. Number 22. Kimberly McCarthy. Under the deceptive guise of borrowing sugar, Kimberly McCarthy intruded into the home of her 71-year-old neighbors in Lancaster, Texas, back in 1997. What followed was a heinous act, driven by her desperate need to support a crack cocaine addiction. McCarthy mercilessly stabbed and killed her elderly neighbor whilst robbing her. Disturbingly, she faced accusations of similar crimes against two other elderly women in 1998, although she never stood trial for those cases. The culmination of McCarthy's criminal journey unfolded on June 26, 2013, when she became the 500th individual to face lethal injection in modern Texas history. As she confronted her imminent fate, McCarthy's last words carried an uncommon mix of conviction and religiosity. She declared, "This is not a loss, this is a win. You know where I am going. I am going home to be with Jesus. Keep the faith. I love y'all. Thank you, Chaplain." This unsettling tale not only exposes the depths of McCarthy's depravity, but also underscores the profound impact of addiction on human lives. Her journey from a seemingly innocent request for sugar to the 500th execution in Texas history raises somber reflections on the complexities of crime, punishment, and the human capacity for redemption or remorse. Number 21, Peter Kürten. Peter Kürten, infamously known as the Vampire of Dusseldorf, left a haunting legacy with his captivating final words. This notorious murderer, responsible for at least 9 killings, 31 attempted murders, and numerous mutilations, earned his gruesome moniker due to his penchant for blood drinking. Kürten not only reveled in his acts of violence, but also bizarrely framed them as expressions of love, telling his victims, "That's what love is all about." As he faced the guillotine, Kürten's last words mirrored his twisted view of pleasure and violence. "After my head has been chopped off, will I still be able to hear, at least for a moment, the sound of my blood gushing from the stump of my neck? That would be a pleasure to end all pleasures." This morbid reflection encapsulated the disturbing satisfaction he derived from the macabre. In the wake of Kürten's gruesome deeds, the collective sentiment remains one of repulsion, as society bids good riddance to a man whose final words echo the unsettling intertwining of pleasure and brutality that defined his twisted psyche. Number 20. John Wayne Gacy. Known for his sinister double life as Pogo the Clown at children's events in Chicago, John Wayne Gacy was more than just a disturbing entertainer. Convicted of the brutal murders of at least 33 teenage boys and young men between 1972 and 1978, his suburban Norwood Park ranch house became a house of horrors, where he ended the lives of his victims, primarily through strangulation or asphyxiation. Shockingly, Gacy callously buried 26 of the bodies in the crawl space beneath his own home. In 1980, justice caught up with Gacy, and he was sentenced to death for 12 of these mysterious killings. The culmination of his heinous crimes led to his execution by lethal injection on May 10, 1994. In his final moments, Gacy displayed a brazen defiance, uttering the words, "Kiss my ass." The grotesque juxtaposition of his clown persona and the monstrous reality of his actions serves as a harrowing reminder of the darkness that can lurk behind seemingly benign facades, leaving an indelible mark on the annals of criminal history. Number 19. Barbara Graham. Graham played a pivotal role as the lone female in a gang of criminals with a nefarious agenda. Their target was an elderly woman rumored to possess a hidden fortune within her home. On March 9, 1953, Graham approached the woman's residence, feigning car trouble. Once the door opened for her to use the phone, her 4 co-conspirators infiltrated the premises. Despite their ruthless search, the rumored treasure proved non-existent, leaving them empty-handed. In a dark turn of events, Graham's accomplices claimed she unleashed fatal violence on the elderly woman when their quest for valuables yielded nothing. At her trial, Graham adamantly professed innocence, but her credibility crumbled when an undercover cop secretly recorded her attempting to pay for an alibi. During this exchange, she inadvertently confessed to being at the crime scene. Facing the death penalty alongside 2 fellow gangsters, Graham clung to her assertion of innocence until the very end, when she entered the gas chamber, delivering a final defeated message, "Good people are always so sure they're right." Despite her conviction, lingering doubt persists among some who question whether Graham might have been innocent of the murder, even if not the robbery. The tale of Graham's criminal saga unfolds with layers of deception, raising enduring questions about guilt and justice. Number 18. Albert Fish. Albert Fish, infamous as the Wolf of Wisteria, stands as a haunting figure from the early 20th century. A deranged pedophile and murderer whose malevolent acts shocked the world. The culmination of his gruesome deeds led to his conviction and subsequent death sentence for the murder of Grace Budd and several other innocent children. The chilling end to Fish's dark saga unfolded on January 16, 1936, as he faced the electric chair for his heinous crimes. In the somber moments before his execution, Fish uttered words that were both bizarre and disturbing. "I don't even know why I'm here." This cryptic statement added an eerie layer to the already gruesome narrative surrounding his life. The mystery of Fish's final words leaves us questioning the depths of his disturbed mind and the extent of his self-awareness amidst the sea of his atrocities. As we delve into the unsettling chapters of Albert Fish's story, we encounter not only a remorseless criminal, but a perplexing figure whose legacy continues to intrigue and horrify, reminding us of the darkest corners of human history. Number 17. Carl Panzram. Meet Carl Panzram, an individual devoid of conscience, untroubled by the concepts of man, God, or devil, harboring a deep-seated hatred for the entire human race, including himself. His tumultuous journey traces back to a troubled adolescence marked by torture at the hands of corrections officers, setting the stage for a troubled existence. In examining Panzram's early years, signs of potential psychopathy surfaced as early as the tender age of 3, foreshadowing a gruesome killing spree in New Haven, Connecticut in 1920. The horrifying narrative continued with the rape and murder of 2 young boys, a stark manifestation of the dark path Panzram had chosen. Like many killers, Panzram, during his 1930 hanging, remained unapologetic and inclined to exaggerate the extent of his crimes. In his final moments, he expressed remorse for only 2 things: the mistreatment of a few animals and an inability to annihilate the entire human race. Even in the face of death, he defiantly boasted, shouting, "Yes! Hurry it up, you Hoosier bastard! I could kill a dozen men while you're screwing around." Panzram's chilling story reflects a life marked by profound brutality and an unyielding disdain for humanity. Number 16. Gallows Epiphany Wesley. Wesley Allen Dodd, a 31-year-old convicted child killer, faced an impending execution by hanging scheduled for 1 minute after 3 a.m. This macabre event raised questions about how a killer might react in such circumstances. Remarkably, Dodd not only anticipated his demise, but also specifically requested hanging, the very method he had ruthlessly employed to end the life of his last victim. His morbid choice stemmed from his unsettling act of hanging one of his child victims after committing the murder. Dodd's twisted desire for notoriety was evident during his trial, where he sought media attention and claimed to aid parents by writing prevention material. The chilling question remained: what motivated him to carry out such horrifying schemes? However, in a surprising turn, as the execution loomed, Dodd provided a semblance of solace to the families of his victims. He admitted his past misjudgment, acknowledging that there is hope and peace, particularly in the Lord Jesus Christ. Yet, despite this glimpse of remorse, Dodd appeared emotionally detached and cold. His demeanor suggested an absence of any genuine emotion, leaving observers to grapple with the complex and chilling psyche of a man whose crimes had left a lasting mark of horror on the lives of his victims and their families. Number 15. Gary Gilmore. Few murderers have left as profound an impact as Gary Gilmore's, whose criminal journey began at the tender age of 14, engaging in car theft with his friends. His notoriety escalated in April 1976, when he arrived in Utah after serving time in an Oregon jail for armed robbery. Unfazed by parole, Gilmore continued his criminal pursuits. In a mysterious sequence of events that unfolded in July, Gilmore committed 2 cold-blooded murders within consecutive nights, first at a gas station and then at a motel. A vigilant garage mechanic and Gilmore's cousin played pivotal roles in his apprehension, leading to his arrest as he attempted to flee the city. Gilmore's timing proved unfortunate. His crimes occurred just a month before the reinstatement of the death penalty in the United States after a 4-year hiatus. This impending execution became the subject of a Pulitzer Prize-winning book, an Emmy-winning television movie, and even inspired song spoofs on Saturday Night Live. Facing the firing squad, Gilmore displayed an uncommon nonchalance, uttering his last words, "Let's do it." Strangely, these words found an unlikely legacy in the advertising world, as ad man Dan Whedon admitted that they inspired the iconic Nike slogan, "Just do it." Gilmore's dark tale not only left a lasting imprint on the true crime narrative, but also unexpectedly influenced popular culture and marketing. Number 14. Henry Howard Holmes. H. Holmes, America's inaugural superstar serial killer, admitted to the gruesome slayings of 27 individuals, predominantly carried out between 1891 and 1894 within his sinister creation, the Murder Castle. During his execution, Holmes displayed an eerie calmness, addressing the hangman with his parting words. "Take your time, old man, don't bungle it." Little did he know that the ensuing events would unfold with a sinister twist. As the trap was sprung, instead of the expected swift neck-breaking, Holmes endured a torturous 15-minute strangulation, an agonizing demise that reflected the malevolence that defined his heinous crimes. In his final moments, Holmes lived up to his directive. He took his time, leaving a lingering impression of his sadistic nature. In stark contrast, John Wayne Gacy, another notorious figure, conveyed a more straightforward last message. While Gacy's words were blunt, Holmes' final utterances were prescriptive, adding a layer of complexity to the mysterious nature of these two infamous criminals. Both, in their ways, left a puzzling mark on the records of American crime, reminding us of the dark shadows that can lurk within the human psyche. Number 13. Mary Blandy. Mary Blandy, found guilty of the crime of poisoning her father with an arsenic-laced potion, faced the grim fate of being hanged in England in 1752. As she approached the gallows, adorned in a dress and keenly aware of maintaining her modesty, her parting words added a somber touch to the horrifying proceedings. In a plea that resonated with a blend of humor and an unwavering commitment to English propriety, Mary Blandy beseeched, "For the sake of decency, gentlemen, don't hang me high." This request, uttered just moments before her execution, encapsulated a nuanced mix of wit and adherence to societal norms, even in the face of imminent death. Mary Blandy's execution, set against the backdrop of 18th century England, becomes a fascinating glimpse into the intersection of criminal justice, cultural decorum, and the individual's attempt to assert dignity in the most dire circumstances. The specter of the gallows became a stage where, in her final words, Mary Blandy grappled with the gravity of her actions while preserving a semblance of decency, leaving an indelible mark on the pages of history. Number 12. Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy, a name etched in the records of American crime, stands out as one of the most infamous serial killers who sent shockwaves through the nation in the turbulent 1970s. Inflicting terror with a series of gruesome murders, Bundy's dark saga came to a close on January 24, 1989, when he faced the electric chair for his heinous deeds. However, his departure from this world was marked by an unsettling enigma. His final words, a cryptic message that lingered in the air. "I'd like you to give my love to my family and friends." Despite the gravity of his crimes, Bundy maintained a facade of charm and charisma until the very end, leaving an indelible imprint on the minds of those who delved into the details of his touching case. The execution not only served as a conclusion to Bundy's reign of terror, but also left a haunting legacy that continues to captivate and perplex those intrigued by the twisted psyche of this notorious figure in American criminal history. Number 11. Rosendo Rodriguez. The Third. Rodriguez, the third, a perpetrator of heinous crimes, admitted to the murder of a 16-year-old girl in 2004, callously discarding her lifeless body in a Texas landfill. His gruesome trial continued with the conviction for the killing and disposal of a 29-year-old woman in the same heartless manner the following year. Furthermore, Rodriguez's sinister legacy extended to at least 5 other sexual assaults, painting a grim picture of his ruthlessness. The culmination of his reign of terror arrived on March 27, 2018, as Rodriguez faced the ultimate consequence, a harmful injection. In his final moments, he uttered last words that resonated with a sense of closure and readiness. "I have fought the good fight. I have run the good race. Warden, I'm ready to join my father." These parting words encapsulated Rodriguez's acknowledgement of his impending fate and the acceptance of the consequences of his despicable actions. The execution of justice was revealed as Rodriguez left behind a captivating legacy, underscoring the profound impact of his brutality on the lives he callously extinguished and the survivors forever scarred by his violent acts. Number 10. William Bonin. William Bonin, infamous as the Freeway Killer, earned his dark legacy through the murders of 14 men and boys between 1979 and 1980. However, suspicions lingered that his heinous acts extended far beyond, involving the rape and killing of numerous others. The moniker Freeway Killer originated from Bonin's gruesome habit of dumping his victims along the roadsides of Southern California. The culmination of his reign of terror came to an end on February 23, 1996, when Bonin faced the ultimate consequence at San Quentin State Prison, succumbing to lethal injection. In his final moments, he left behind a message that carried a peculiar blend of advice and reflection. I would suggest that when a person has a thought of doing anything serious against the law, that before they did that, they should go to a quiet place and think about it seriously. This cryptic counsel, delivered just before his execution, adds an intriguing layer to Bonin's character. It offers a glimpse into the mind of a remorseless killer, imparting an odd piece of guidance that stands as a testament to the complexities and dark twists within the psyche of individuals who perpetrate unimaginable crimes. Number 9. Marie Antoinette. Marie Antoinette, born in Austria in 1755, entered an influential alliance by marrying Louis XVI, ascending to the title of Queen of France. Her reign at Versailles transformed the palace into an 18th-century spectacle resembling MTV's Cribs, featuring extravagant parties, opulent fashion, and an awe-inspiring hairstyle that would leave even a Texas beauty queen envious. However, this grandeur stood in stark contrast to the stark reality faced by the struggling French populace, unable to afford necessities like bread. The onset of the French Revolution brought doom for Marie and Louis, as the guillotine emerged as a captivating symbol of revolutionary justice. In 1793, Marie Antoinette faced the guillotine's blade in a moment that sealed her fate. Her legacy remains a complex narrative, oscillating between being viewed as the epitome of royal excess and, alternatively, a victim ensnared by circumstances and gender-based expectations. As Marie faced her inevitable demise, her last words took an unexpected turn. Rather than apologizing for alleged transgressions, she addressed the executioner, acknowledging an accidental step on his foot just moments before reaching the guillotine. The dubious sincerity of her claim adds a touch of intrigue to the final moments of a queen whose life fluctuated between opulence and the grim reality of revolutionary justice. Number 8. Clarence Ray Allen. Allen orchestrated and executed a calculated robbery at Fran's Market, a grocery store owned by people he knew. The aftermath took a dark turn when his son's girlfriend, Mary Sue Kitts, disclosed his involvement to the store owner's son. In a sinister attempt to silence her, Allen coerced an accomplice from the robbery to murder Mary Sue. The accomplice eventually confessed, leading to Allen's arrest. Behind bars, Allen's machinations didn't cease. He persuaded a fellow inmate on the brink of parole to eliminate all surviving witnesses for him. Although the first hit was executed, the hired killer was apprehended with the hit list in his possession. At 1982, Allen faced the death penalty. Additionally, suspicions loomed over him for the brutal slaying of an entire family in Chino Hills. Despite his lawyers advocating for clemency based on his age, lawmakers argued that his continued criminal activities within prison made him a perpetual threat. During his incarceration, Allen found solace in his Native American roots. His mother had Choctaw ancestry, and his father had Cherokee heritage. As he approached his final moments, he invoked the Lakota battle cry, stating, "Hoka hey, it's a good day to die," encapsulating a mysterious and unrepentant end to a life marked by treachery and violence. Number 7. Electric comedy. George Apple, distinct from the noted Australian politician John George Apple, faced the grim inevitability of death by electricity. Known as the Big Apple Cop Killer, George Apple approached his execution with an unusual levity, not letting the gravity of his imminent demise overshadow his sense of humor. In the year 1928, strapped to the electric chair, he seized the moment for a well-timed pun that revealed a certain wit beneath the circumstances. As the electric current coursed through his body, George Apple quipped, "Well, gentlemen, you're about to see a baked apple." In this darkly comedic moment, he found amusement in his name, the impending end of his life, and perhaps even a subtle nod to the city itself. This display of gallows humor marked the pinnacle of George Apple's otherwise wasted existence, showcasing a punchline he had likely crafted in his mind for years. The execution chamber became an unexpected stage for a joke that, in its macabre way, provided a brief and eerie glimpse into the complex psyche of a man facing his final moments with an unsettling sense of humor. Number 6. Andrei Chikatilo. Andrei Chikatilo, infamous as the Red Ripper, etched his name in the records of serial killers with a puzzling notoriety. Convicted of 52 murders spanning from 1978 to 1990, Chikatilo, in his audacious claim, asserted an actual count of 57 victims, with suspicions of more heinous acts lingering in the shadows. The aftermath of his crimes took a gruesome turn, as he shamefully misused the bodies of many of his victims after their demise. Despite the court's dismissal of any insanity plea during his trial, Chikatilo retained an eerie sense of self-perceived exceptionality about his mind. As he faced the ultimate reckoning in 1994, his final words added a bizarre twist to his dark legacy. "Don't blow my brains out. The Japanese want to buy them." This peculiar request, however, was met with denial, as a single bullet was coldly fired into the back of the Red Ripper's head, marking the end of a reign of terror that had gripped the minds of many, and leaving behind a legacy of horror that still resonates in the realms of criminal history. Now, it's time for today's subscriber pick. In the final moments before their demise, while some prisoners seek forgiveness or turn to prayer, infamous killers maintain their dark legacy. The unpleasant last words of serial killers echo as eerie reminders of their heinous deeds. These chilling utterances form a macabre tapestry, providing a glimpse into the twisted minds that orchestrated horrifying crimes. The haunting messages left behind by these criminals carry an aura of malevolence, etching their names into the records of infamy. The disturbing last words of serial killers cast a shadow over the closing chapters of their lives, leaving a permanent mark on the collective memory of their dark deeds. What do you think about what we just showed you? Number 5. Thomas J. Grasso. In the moments leading up to his execution, Thomas J. Grasso, the murderer of 2 elderly victims, took center stage, releasing a series of cryptic statements to the press. Drawing inspiration from literary greats like T.S. Eliot, Grasso even unveiled his poem, a labor of 12 years, adding an air of mystery to his impending fate. Despite the weight of expectations, he expressed concern about disappointing his fans. However, as the time approached for Grasso to embark on his one-way journey, an unexpected twist occurred. Rather than dwelling on profound thoughts or intricate poetry, spaghettio dominated his mind. His final culinary requests for a varied meal, encompassing Burger King and pumpkin pie, showcased a peculiar craving for the iconic pasta dish. Grasso, adamant about setting the record straight, lamented, "I did not get my spaghettis, I got spaghetti." This culinary deviation became a noteworthy element, overshadowing the anticipation of his final moments and leaving an unexpected mark on the narrative of Thomas J. Grasso's peculiar end. Number 4. James French. James French, a killer with a penchant for making headlines, understood the power of his last words in the media, and he played that card twice. This eager criminal, dissatisfied with a life sentence in 1958 for murdering a motorist who had offered him a ride, relentlessly petitioned the judge for the death penalty. His appeals fell on deaf ears, prompting French to take drastic action by strangling his cellmate with a towel. During his trial, French openly admitted that his motive behind the cellmate's murder was to secure the electric chair, a request the state ultimately granted. With a disturbingly contented smile, French met his fate in the electric chair. When asked for his last words, he delivered a cryptic line, "Everything's already been said." The meaning behind this statement became clear when it was revealed that French had already shared his final words with journalist Bob Gregory for Oklahoma Monthly magazine. "You know what I'd say in the headline? French fries. See ya." French's calculated and morbid sense of humor marked a bizarre and mysterious end to his twisted tale, leaving an indelible impression on the dark corners of criminal history. Number 3. Mary Pearcey. In a complex web of love and betrayal, Mary Pearcey shared her life with her lover, James Hogg. However, when Hogg chose to marry his other girlfriend, Phoebe Styles, Pearcey's emotions took a dark turn, especially after Phoebe gave birth. Consumed by jealousy, Pearcey's actions on October 24, 1888, marked a gruesome twist in this tragic tale. Under the guise of hospitality, Pearcey invited Phoebe and her baby for tea, only for them to meet a horrifying fate. Phoebe's lifeless body, nearly decapitated, was discarded like refuse, while her innocent baby met a tragic end, smothered by Pearcey's hands. The police swiftly connected the dots, leading them to Pearcey's residence, where blood-splattered walls, ceiling, clothes, and a knife bore witness to the ghastly crime. Adding to the macabre evidence, Pearcey wore Phoebe's ring when apprehended. Even in the face of the impending execution, Pearcey maintained a defiant stance, asserting, "My sentence is a just one, but a good deal of the evidence against me was false." Intriguingly, some speculate that Mary Pearcey may have been Jack the Ripper, a captivating possibility that adds another layer to her dark and enigmatic story. In the realm of killers, excuses and secrets intertwine, weaving a narrative that delves into the depths of human darkness and the tangled threads of passion gone awry. Number 2. Fred West. Fred, a deeply disturbed individual, and his wife Rose embarked on a strange spree, mercilessly taking the lives of numerous young women, tragically even their 15-year-old daughter, over a harrowing 15-year period. The sinister deeds of this malevolent couple eventually caught up with them when they faced arrest. Upon their apprehension, Rose shocked the public not only by proclaiming her innocence, but also by openly expressing her hatred for Fred. This revelation shattered Fred, as the person he thought shared his dark inclinations turned against him. Before the grim proceedings of their trial could begin, Fred succumbed to the weight of his guilt and despair, choosing to end his own life. His final act left behind a heartfelt message etched on a drawing of a tombstone. "In loving memory, Fred West, Rose West, rest in peace where no shadow falls. In perfect peace, he waits for Rose, his wife." Curiously, Fred's farewell contained no mention of their victims, including his ex-wife and a daughter from his previous marriage. Instead, it served as a macabre tribute to the twisted union they shared. The cryptic message highlighted the dark complexities within their unholy matrimony, showcasing how certain couples can bring out the darkest facets of each other's nature. Number 1. Robert Charles Comer. In 1987, Robert Charles Comer and his accomplice, Juvena Willis, embarked on a harrowing night of crime that involved kidnapping and murder. The gruesome events unfolded at an Arizona campground, where Comer and Willis lured a fellow camper into their tent under the guise of sharing a meal. Shockingly, Comer brutally attacked the unsuspecting guest, employing both gunfire and stabbing, before callously pilfering his possessions, including a dog that met a tragic fate at Comer's hands. Undeterred by their heinous act, the criminal duo proceeded to another location, where they forcibly abducted a young couple at gunpoint. The terrified victims were confined to the back of their truck. with Comer assuming the role of driver and Willis tailing closely behind. The unfolding nightmare took a captivating turn when the boyfriend was abandoned in the woods, while the courageous woman managed to escape and seek refuge with the nearest sheriff. When law enforcement apprehended the malevolent pair, the once seemingly inseparable companions took a sudden turn. In a surprising twist, Willis opted to testify against Comer in exchange for a reduced sentence. This betrayal ultimately led to Comer's execution by lethal injection on May 2007. Curiously, rather than expressing remorse or resentment, Comer's final words paid homage to the California Bay Area of his upbringing with a simple yet unexpected declaration: "Go Raiders!" Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.